Welcome back. In this video, we are going to understand one of the most powerful and slightly advanced Excel function, the indirect function. At the first glance, the indirect function may look a bit confusing, but once you understand the logic behind it, it becomes extremely useful, especially in financial modeling, data consolidation, and dynamic dashboards. The indirect function converts the text string into a cell reference. The syntax for the indirect function is simple. So it requires one input, which is the reference text. So ref text is the reference written as text. The second input A1 is optional. True is required for A1 style and false for R1 C1 style. So let's understand the indirect function with the help of a couple of simple examples. So if I type the indirect function over here, so I type is equal to indirect and bracket open, and in place of reference text, if I link it to cell B4 and close the bracket and enter, I get the text Excel plus. So in cell B4, I have the reference I4, and if I go to I4, Excel plus is written over here. So indirect function converts the text written in the cell to a cell reference. So since I4 is written over here, the indirect function takes this text to the cell I4 and converts it into the output. Let's see what happens if I type Excel plus in cell B5 and then link it to the indirect function. So if I type indirect, bracket open, and give Excel plus as the reference text, close the bracket and enter. So I get a reference error because in this case, Excel is not able to find any cell with the name Excel plus. Let's see what happens if I do the same in cell C6. So I type is equal to indirect, bracket open. Here it's written Excel, close the bracket and enter. So I get the same output Excel plus. So why did this happen? When I typed Excel plus over here in the cell reference, I got a reference error. But when I typed Excel, I got the output Excel plus. So this is because this cell is named as Excel. So if I click on I4 and see over here, it is named as Excel. So what the indirect function does is it takes the name Excel as the reference text and then searches for the cell named Excel in the sheet. And since this cell is named as Excel, it gives the output as Excel plus. This is how we can use the indirect function by converting a text string into a cell reference. Let's look at another example. So in this table, we have the name of the students in this row, and in the columns, we have the marks. So for Albert, we have the marks for 5 subjects, same for other students. And below we have the output. So if I change the name of the student to Albert, I get the average marks and the total marks for the student. So let's see how we can do this. So I'll copy this data, paste it over here, and then name it as Rajiv. So let's change the numbers a bit. So this is the marks obtained by Rajiv. I'll create a similar output table for explanation purposes. So let me delete this. So first of all, we have to create a drop-down list, and the drop-down list can be created by using data validation in Excel. To use data validation, we'll go to data, data validation, and then here we can select the list. So this is already selected since we had the list, and we'll change the reference. So earlier it was C10 to G10. I'll remove this and then link it to C10 to H10. Okay. So if I click on this, it's a drop down and I have this name over here. Now we have to calculate the average marks and total marks for all the students based on this drop down list. So the first step is we have to give a name to this range. So name to this range can be given by going to formula. In formula, we have create from selection. So we'll select this and the name is from the top row. It's already selected and we'll click OK. So now if we go to formula and select the name manager, so we see that there is a reference with the name Rajiv and the values are selected over here. So there's a there's a cell or there's a range named Rajiv with the marks for all the subjects. So I'll close this. Now we'll combine the indirect function with the average function and sum function in Excel. So to calculate the average marks, we'll type is equal to average bracket open, and in bracket, instead of giving the numbers, we will type indirect bracket open and then link it to the name Rajiv. Close the bracket for the indirect function and close it for average, then enter. So the average is 86.2. We'll repeat the process to calculate the total marks. So we'll type is equal to sum bracket open and then type indirect bracket open, link it to the name, close the bracket for the indirect function and close it for the sum function, enter. The total is 431. If I want to check the data, I can sum the data over here and then check. So it is 431. So this is how we can use the indirect function. The indirect function can be used for financial modeling, data consolidation from different sheets, and various other purposes in Excel. Thank you.